I'm Bill Trefiro.
If you own a diesel truck or diesel fleet, it's time to go wicked and get serviced for the spring. And when you go wicked, take 25% off your service request for a limited time. Wicked Diesel in Bedford will allow 25% off a transmission flush, coolant flush, oil change, differential service, or AC service. Your choice. Just tell Josh you want that 25% off service special. Download the coupon at wickeddieselva.com. Need diesel repair? Go wicked.
Good morning.
Time to get ready for your day with the morning warm-up with Trey Lyle. Join us live on VTRN Sports 93.3 FM or the VTRN Sports app. Open VTRN Sports on your smart speaker or stream live on YouTube. Time to get ready for your day with the morning warm-up with Trey Lyle and Ty Tracy.
.703 on this Wednesday, April 29th. Welcome back to the morning warm-up. I'm Trey Lyle. That's Ty Tracy. Hi. Something dumb happened yesterday. Let's get to it in case you missed it.
Keeping up with sports 24/7 takes some serious effort, especially when you're sleeping. Don't worry, the morning warm-up stays alert around the clock. Now here is everything you missed last night.
First reported by Pete Thamel of ESPN. The NCAA has initiated the final steps to expand the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournament teams to 76 teams. Tyrone. The expansion is on track to be formalized in the upcoming weeks with mid-May as the target. The 76 team tournament will begin next year. Just
stupid.
Thank you. If anyone's like for this, I implore you to go watch Virginia Tech basketball last season and how disappointing they were. And they would be a tournament team. And for anyone, this is supposed to help mid-majors. It's not. You know who's going to fill those spots? Power teams, okay? Like, just not. Like, if it had a structure where, like, I don't know, like you use KenPom and you said, like, the top 4 mid-major regular season champs that don't win their conference tournament, like Liberty, for example, get a first 4 bid, then I would be open to it because it opens the door for more teams and more conferences. But no, this is just not happening. So, and it's all about money, okay? It's not about more access to giving more teams. Okay, so Pete Thamel in his article, which, by the way, he's telling you what the sources are. The primary driver of this move hasn't been money, but rather access for at-large bids for power conferences. What do you think? Like, you win more tournament games, you get more money for your power conference. The expansion has been pushed by power conferences, which has grown throughout the course of the current deal. The mechanics of the expansion is the men's tournament would include 8 additional at-large bids, which is now known as the first 4. 8 teams playing 4 games in Dayton, Ohio, would expand to 12 games played by 24 teams at 2 sites, one of which is expected to remain in Dayton. So you can't call that the first 4 anymore because it was 4 games. Now it's like the first 6 or first 12 because it's 12 games. Location of this new site to be determined, but expect to be west of the Eastern time zone to help with logistics. Las Vegas. That's what I would do. Honestly. I would be more sold on it if you did Vegas. Because that's the spot to watch the NCAA tournament. The expansion would lead to an additional 8 men's games, meaning Tuesday and Wednesday the NCAA tournament would feature 24 of the 76 men's teams. The traditional 64 team men's bracket would still begin Thursday and look much the same. The difference would be more teams qualify for a traditional at-larges and have to play earlier than the 64 team bracket. It's dumb. Again, so like 4 out. All right, I'm googling. So this year, the first the teams that were out in the tournament were, I believe, became the 1 seeds in the NIT. Like Auburn was one, which I mean, an Auburn team that was a 500 team. Do we really want that? So it was Oklahoma, Auburn, San Diego State, and Indiana. So a 19 and 15 team, a 17 and 16 team. San Diego State was 22 and 11, but they played in the Mountain West, and an 18 and 14 Indiana. So that's who would have made it. So everyone's like, oh, well, there's a mid-major in the Mountain West. Well, really, San Diego State played for the national title a couple years ago. So would you really call San Diego State a traditional mid-major team? And then the next group would be like Virginia Tech. And I really think Virginia Tech should have made the NCAA tournament. And like Stanford. And I'm trying to think of other, West Virginia. Like teams that did not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. This is just I mean, at least the article states it's like the power teams wanting more spots, and that's money. Like, at least they're open about it. And to be fair,
And they start complaining, so we want Cinderella teams. I'm like, well, you
yeah,
keep putting these
Cinderella's already dead. Like, it died because the portal. Like, for example, like Siena had a good core, and they pushed Duke to the limit as a 15 seed. Now, I'm not here to say Siena would become like a 13 seed and be one of those magical mid-major teams, but like they would come back next year and they'd be a really good core in the old school system. But no, half of Siena's core and their coach is now going to be Syracuse's team next year. Like, and also Cinderella's a little overrated. It's great for the first round, but then like I do not want the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 lead to bad games. Anyways, like your Cinderella team is going to be a 9-seeded Iowa team that goes on a run, and that's a power conference team. I truly just don't get, other than the power conferences wanting more spots and more money, that this makes sense. Now, people can say, well, you're going to watch the games. Well, yeah, because I'm a sicko. But still, it's not like, again, this Virginia Tech team, like, use Virginia Tech as the example. You cannot tell me that Virginia Tech team deserved to be in the NCAA tournament, but they would have been in the NCAA tournament this year if it led to expansion. Just dumb. Very, very dumb. And I mean, this was inevitable at this point, Ty. But again, just call it what it is. It's a money grab.
I mean, I'm not happy about it. It's they ruin it. They are ruining the sport, and they know that too.
They're watering it down. I mean, the first four, like, here's the thing. Ty, do you know why the first four actually became successful? Like, and people accepted it right away. You know what's a big part of it?
What?
The fact that in the first four, you had a controversial team that made it, which was VCU. I believe this was the first four. It was one of the first times they did the games in Dayton. VCU made it. You know where VCU ended up?
What?
The Final Four. I'm telling you right now, if they did the same thing this year, and let's say we'll use Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was not in the shape, playing that well, had the style, had the players, had anything, frankly had the coaching, and I love Mike Young, to make that type of run. Right? Like, I will say this. If you're a power conference team and you miss the tournament, your coach is pretty close to being fired. You have to play. I mean, especially if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten, if you're a 500 team, you're making the NCAA tournament.
I don't think they close.
That's insane.
I don't think they're getting close. They just probably just get fired off.
That's like a 500 team. The Auburn Tigers were a 500 basketball team with a losing record in the SEC. Head coach with a head coach that got, people complain about the Bronny James crap. At least Stephen Pearl got handed his job like on a silver platter and a contract because his dad, and it's just so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the NCAA tournament. Like, the NCAA has a lot more issues to fix than expanding its tournament. Like, there are a lot of things that has gotten worse. And I don't believe the portal or NIL has made college athletics worse. I would argue it's made the product better, because especially in college football, like, and in college basketball, while there's no more Cinderellas, your 1 through 25 teams are a lot better. So then you get more competitive games. So I'm okay with that. Just it's done. Speaking of getting the bag, you know who just got the bag? Tyron Stokes, the former number one. He is currently the number one recruit, and probably going to be the number one pick in the 2027 NBA draft. He committed to Kansas over Kentucky. Kentucky, bad vibes around the Kentucky Wildcats. They might need a GM. Bill Self, after not stepping down, decides, I'll go get the number one player in the country. Not a bad look for him. Speaking of basketball, Shams Charania of The Athletic is reporting that a new anti-tanking proposal is coming to the draft lottery. They proposed a 3-2-1 lottery that includes expanding the lottery 16 teams, flattening odds, and a relegation zone where the bottom 3 teams would be penalized with fewer lottery balls for the number one pick, starting with 2027 NBA draft. Sources told ESPN on Tuesday. The league office has held multiple critical meetings with the board of governors. So I'm going to do my best to read through this model and try to explain it. The 3-2-1 lottery proposal, named to represent the number of lottery balls per team, would expand the lottery from 14 to 16 teams, so it would include the more play-in teams. Teams that do not qualify for the playoffs or the play-in tournament but stay out of the relegation zone, spots 4 through 10, would receive 3 lottery balls each. 3 with teams with a bottom 3 record, the relegation area, would have only 2 lottery balls but have a floor of the number 12 pick, and the rest of the 13 lottery teams could fall as far as the number 16 pick. The number 9 and 10 play-in seeds in each conference receive 2 lottery balls each. The losers of the 7-8 play-in game receive 1 lottery ball each. Previously, the lottery league drew odds for only teams with the bottom 4 records in the league, while the other 10 lottery teams were ordered by inverse record. Under this proposal, all 16 teams would be in the drawing. In addition, no team would be able to win the top pickings. This part I like. Consecutive years, or be able to win 3 consecutive top 5 picks. Teams would also not be able to protect picks in the 12 to 15 slots going forward. The proposal includes a sunset provision so that the new system would expire after the 2029 draft and allow the Board of Governors to continue the system or transition to a new one. We'll see. I think it's a little complicated where top teams are losing. I think they lose ping pong balls. So basically, like, if the odds are flattened, but you're de-incentivized to get the number one, like, to have the worst record.
I know someone was mentioning about last night saying Adam Silver's ruined the NBA about it because his back came out last night.
He has not ruined the NBA. I do. I think basically tanking has gone to an extreme degree, and this is a way to prevent it. Baseball has this where you can't have the number one pick in back-to-back, or can't have a top 5 pick in back-to-back years. That's why it was hilarious when the Rockies had the worst record in the history of baseball the year after the White Sox had the worst record in the history of baseball. And the Rockies' highest pick that year could have been 6th because they had the top 5 pick the year before. I do think it's worth trying. So basically, the way I understand it is, let's just say all the 16 teams, so it's the non-playoff teams, get 10 lottery balls. Then, if your picks with teams that do not qualify for playoffs or the play-in tournament but stay out of the relegation zone, so spots 4 through 10 so the fourth worst record to the 10th worst record get 3 additional ping pong balls. Then teams with the bottom 3 records get 2, and then the play-in teams get 2. I believe is how I would explain it. Doing the best I can. But yeah, still very complicated.
Yeah, it just be, I don't know what to say no more for real.
Hey, we'll see. I honestly, like, again, I'm for this. Like, now, for example, the Wizards, like, someone who got to watch in person the tanking Wizards and seeing who they rolled out there. I'm for this. And I do think ultimately this is going to be cleared up. Like, I'm of the belief that if this fixed tanking, then cool. Like, I also don't think it's going to fix tanking. But, like, the one question I have, and someone way smarter than me, that falls in the Ty Tracy category, but that means I'm calling you smarter, to be clear, Ty.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But someone way smarter than me needs to explain, like, so does that mean the best spot is 4? I feel like 4 would be the best spot. 4 through 10, because you get I need to watch it. Like, I need to see it happen. By the way, I hope the Miami Heat win the lottery. AJ DeBanza, please become a player of the Miami Heat.
I mean, so what happened? You be trashed for like 3 years straight in a row. Like,
so
is that you're assuming?
Perfect example.
You're assuming you're assuming that I'm tanking. Like, I know we just suck.
Well, the Wizard. Trust me, as someone who watched the Wizards, they're tanking. So, let me see. All right. So the Wizards draft picks over the years. So let's, for example, we're gonna work backwards. And Basketball Reference has it on top. So for example, they luckily have not had a top 5 pick in 3 straight years. They picked 2nd, 6th, and 8th, or 8th. Let me do it in the right order: 8th, 2nd, and 6th. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of a team that has had top 5 picks in the past, like 3 straight years. Did the Utah Jazz? Let me look.
I don't know.
Jazz had 5th. Nope. Trying to think of teams that suck.
Like top 5 picks, like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, Spurs didn't. Piston? Did the Pistons do it before they got good? That might be the team.
Charlotte.
Ooh, yeah. So here's an example. I got it. So in 22, or you ready? In 21, the Pistons had the number 1 pick. 22, they had the 5th overall pick. 23, they had the 5th overall pick. And 24, they had the 5th overall pick. That wouldn't be able to happen anymore. So in 2024, the highest they could have picked was 6th, basically. Now, it's ironic. One of those picks was Jaden Ivey, who is not in the NBA anymore. So I don't think that's for his reasons. So that's the example I can use there. Other news and notes from yesterday: the Steelers placed the right of first refusal tender on Aaron Rodgers, meaning that he can accept a 10% raise off last year's salary, which would pay him about $50 million this season. The Steelers also would have the right to match any offer sheet he would sign with another team. As another condition of the tender, Rodgers will only be able to sign with the Steelers once training camp begins. Basically, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler if he wants to play. That's the best way I can put it.
Well, you got to make a decision right now. They will be I don't think teams
You're gonna
got
roll
time
out
to wait.
Drew Aller. I- yeah. I mean, I foresee Aaron Rodgers being the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Los Angeles, also according to Shams Charania, Los Angeles Lakers star Austin Reeves is optimistic he can return to action tonight in Game 5 against the Rockets. After missing 4 weeks with the grade 2 oblique strain, sources told ESPN, Reeves will be a great game time decision. So, I mean, the Rockets are, I do not see the Rockets coming back from 3-1. And
I mean, they might as well let him sit. He just might as well just sit.
I think they might need his offense. If they can just have a little offense, the Rockets have no offense, they'll be fine. I just think, do you really want to put another full game on LeBron James at 41? I'd rather
I mean,
I'd
yeah.
rather roll Reeves out there in the series and try to get Luka back as soon as possible.
Mhm.
But granted, since they're going to play Oklahoma City and Oklahoma City's already done, like the series is going to start sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Also, yesterday, the second manager in baseball was fired, as Rob Thompson, the manager of the Phillies, was fired. Phillies have one of the worst records in all of baseball. Interesting enough, Don Mattingly will take over as interim manager. Matt Gelb of The Athletic was the first to report this. Jeff Passan followed it up from ESPN. Ty Tracy, Don Mattingly, former Yankee, longtime manager of the Marlins. Great, I think, has shown he can be a good manager. The job was apparently already offered to Alex Cora, who I would argue is the favorite to get this job. He just did not want to join the team during the season, which I get.
Mhm.
Ironically, do you know who the GM of the Philadelphia Phillies is? Don Mattingly's son. So the son is the boss of the father,
Mhm.
ironically. Other news and notes from yesterday, as we look around, 2311 officially announced Tyler Reddick is signed into a long-term deal with 2311. And yeah, I think that's, let's get to scores. I forgot the scores. All right. Last night in the NBA, Sixers hold off elimination with a 113-97 victory with a big fourth quarter, outscoring the Celtics 28-11. Joel Embiid had 33 and 8 as the Sixers now go back to Philadelphia for Game 6. The Knicks dominate the Hawks in back-to-back games. Seem like they've asserted themselves in that series with a 127 victory. They head back to Atlanta for Game 6 in that one. And the Spurs close out the Trailblazers 114-95. Wemby with 17, 14, and 6 blocks. Yes, you heard that right. 6 blocks. De'Aaron Fox finally gets his first win in a playoff series, and he closes it out for the Spurs with a big fourth quarter. As for hockey, Bruins win one in overtime to hold off elimination 2-1. The Wild are one game away from advancing over Dallas 4-2, and the Oilers hold off elimination over Anaheim with a 4-1 victory in that one. Ty, is there anything else I missed?
No, he didn't miss none.
All right, when we come back, we will do Today in Sports History Plus around 7:40. Bryson Gordon, newsadvance.com, joins us. This is the Morning Warm-Up on BTR and Sports.
We are making it happen at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your premier used car dealer serving Southwest Virginia and surrounding areas for over 50 years. With the best selection, exceptional service, plus 900 pre-owned vehicles all in one location. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got the volume. The Used Car Superstore is your one-stop for most makes and models. Cars, trucks, vans, SUVs. Many have miles in the teens, remaining factory warranties, and some are even local one-owner vehicles. Plus, Sheeler owns the finance company. Getting approved for credit is easy on the Motor Mile, with finance options for every budget. 900 used vehicles in stock now, more than any other dealer in the area. Hurry in for straightforward pricing and more inventory arriving daily. Why wait? Make it happen at the Used Car Superstore on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your premier family-owned car dealer serving Southwest Virginia and surrounding areas for 50 years. I-81 exit 118C in Christiansburg. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60-plus varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. We've seen a lot since 1982. One new issue is an increasing number of uninsured drivers. Unfortunately, when these drivers are at fault for an accident, there's a higher likelihood that they'll flee from the scene, leaving you with a potential mess. So in shopping for your auto insurance policy, please keep in mind that strong, uninsured motorist coverage can protect you from this headache. And if you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, call us at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
Your insurance company tells you to go to a certain shop. Once they give you the inflated estimate, you think, uh-oh, better get Mako. For over 50 years, Mako has been repairing and painting cars. Mako is not in contract with insurance companies. They work for you. They don't give insurance companies discounts and rebates you'd never get. At Mako, you'll get an honest assessment of your repair work by trained, certified professionals. You'll get the choice to pay with insurance or out of pocket, whichever makes sense for you. So if you have an insurance claim, get a second opinion at Mako on Kemper Street in Lynchburg.
Hey, Hokie fans, are you still getting your Hokie sports news from other outlets, or even worse, the newspaper? Well, you're missing out. Tech Sideline has assembled the largest and most talented team to ever cover Virginia Tech athletics. If you want Hokie sports coverage that is second to none and will make you the smartest fan at the tailgate, subscribe to TechSideline.com for just $12 a month or $120 a year. Tech Sideline, all Hokie, all the time, period. Subscribe today at TechSideline.com.
Spring means green lawns, open windows, and afternoons spent outdoors. At Brownstone Properties, you'll find homes with private yards, with locations near scenic walking trails, or beautiful local parks, perfect for family picnics or peaceful strolls. This season, find your place to grow. Start today at brownstoneproperties.com or call 434-385-1025. Brownstone Properties, where home is at the heart of everything we do.
Head to Miller-Built Outdoor Equipment during the Toro Spring Sales Event for incredible savings on select Toro zero-turn mowers. Get up to $300 off on select Time Cutter and Titan zero-turns, or choose one of the amazing financing offers. When it comes to taking care of your acreage, there's nothing like the MyRide suspension that lets you float above the bumps and rough terrain. Visit Miller-Built Outdoor Equipment in Lynchburg today for the best sales, service, and expert advice around. Toro, count on it.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app, or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
7:30 on this Wednesday, April 29th. Welcome back to the morning warm-up. I'm Trey Lyle. That's Tyron Lamar Tracy, as I write my chart wrong. Keep track of how you do on this, as we do today in sports history.
Tyrod waiting. Tyrod scrambling. Back at the 20. Fires. End zone. It is caught for the touchdown by Roberts. It's a miracle in Blacksburg. Tyrod did it, Mikey. Tyrod did it.
It's time for Today in Sports History.
Play action. Salter to throw back to the left, and it's caught in the end zone. Light him up. Touchdown, Liberty. Bentley Henshaw.
From ruin to redemption, the Virginia Cavaliers are the 2019 NCAA National Champions.
Let's hear what Ty really knows about what happened on this day in sports history.
On this date in 1961, this debuts.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
What was that?
ABC's Wild World Sports.
That is correct. ABC's Wide World of Sports debuted on this date in 1961. On this date in 1985, the New York Yankees fire this manager, better known for as a longtime player of the Yankees. After 16 games in the season, despite George Steinbrenner's assurances that he would be kept for the whole season, Billy Martin was named his replacement. He maybe has won the most championships in the history of baseball.
Is it like Yogi Berra?
Berra, but I'll give it to you. On this date in 1986, this man set a major league record for striking out 20 batters as the Red Sox defeated the Mariners 3-1. Name that pitcher.
Roger Clemens.
Correct. All right. On this date in 1986, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took this man with the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
Oh, that's Bo Jackson.
Yeah, I was trying to trip you because he never played for them.
I know.
4-0. All right. We're moving now to 2006. Can you name the number 1 pick in the 2006 NFL draft?
Oh, Mario Williams.
Correct. With the, let me see here. So the Redskins did not, or excuse me, the Washington did not have a pick in the first round. They went with Rocky McIntosh. I think it's McIntosh. I didn't want to tell you that, or I didn't want to ask you that because I had no idea who that guy is. But with the 33rd overall pick, the Houston Texans took this future NFL head coach.
2006.
Yes. You probably have like a 50-50 shot at this. There's like 2 coaches you can think of. One's been in the headlines recently.
Mike Vrabel?
It's not, but that's not, yeah, that's one of the 50-50.
Okay.
I'm not telling you that's the answer. I kind of just gave it to you. It's not Mike Vrabel. So
D'Amico Ryan?
Yes. The other linebacker.
Okay.
All right, 6-0 day for Ty Tracy.
When you said headlines, I'm like, okay, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I was saying like it's a 50-50. Like,
okay.
I think there's like only 2 head coaches that have been drafted pretty high in the NFL draft, and I think Vrabel is like a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So 6-0 day for Ty Tracy. 184-58. So, by the way, Donald Sterling was banned for life in the NBA after his racist comments in an audio recording. Spanish tennis great Rafael Nadal equaled the open era record for most wins at the same event as he won his 11th Barcelona title. Jason Collins became the first male professional athlete in all 4 major sports to come out as gay. With that article he had. And ironically, on this date in 2010, Ty, the NCAA Board of Directors approved a 68-team format for the men's basketball tournament beginning next season. And in the 2011 NCAA tournament, VCU went to the Final Four. Do you know who won that tournament? I know we're going back.
2011?
Yeah, it was kind of no, it was the iconic Kimba team.
I thought it was
2011. 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, they played Butler.
Okay.
Butler went to back-to-back.
Yeah.
That was the second Butler team, yeah. Kentucky was in that Final Four, and then VCU. So, yeah. So, all right. Speaking of trying to the ever-growing landscape of expansion tournaments and everything, we're going to have Bryson Gordon give his thoughts. Will it have any effect on Liberty, the expanded NCAA tournament? Obviously, we don't know if he'll show up. You know, his Red Sox, which, speaking of scores I forgot to get were baseball scores. So this is a mini in case you missed it. 3-2 for the Yankees over the Rangers. Rays defeat the Guardians 1-0. Orioles defeat the Astros 5-3. Reds defeat the Rockies 7-2. Phillies defeat the Giants 7-0. Cardinals defeat the Pirates 11-7. Red Sox lose 3-0. Mets defeat the Nationals 8-0. Braves defeat the Tigers 5-2. White Sox defeat the Angels 5-2. Brewers defeat the Diamondbacks 13-2. Mariners over the Twins 7-1. Cubs over the Padres 8-3. Royals defeat the Athletics 4-1. And the Marlins defeat the Dodgers 2-1. So we're going to see if he shows up. You know, he might not because he's embarrassed for his Red Sox. But you're listening to the Morning Warm-Up on VTR and Sports. Bryson Gordon said to join us next.
Don't miss the declaration of deals during our spring clearance at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Buy now with big incentives or low financing, or we'll pay your state sales tax. Your choice. Plus no payments for 90 days. Don't miss the savings, like $6,500 off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Plus no payments for 90 days at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1750 Independence Boulevard in Bedford. MagicCityBedford.com. Stock number BT12821 with approved credit. See dealer for details. Ends 4/30/26.
Lunchtime just got an upgrade. Stop by Macadoo for our $8.95 weekday special and grab a legendary sandwich at an unbeatable price. Choose from your favorite classics, the Coney Island, Betty Bop, Ragtime, or Stogie. Classic sandwiches packed with savory meats and flavors in between fresh bread. Make it a meal by pairing your sandwich with a sidekick, a warm cup of soup, or crispy chips. Great food, cozy vibes, and the best deal in town.
It's time to share great food and fun. Just to be there, the only one. Just to be there at Macadoo's.
We'll see you at the Do's.
Whether you're facing a tough season or looking for support to overcome life's obstacles, Central Virginia Counseling is here for you. Central Virginia Counseling is accepting new clients at both Lynchburg locations on Wigington Road and Timberlake Road. And telehealth is available anywhere in Virginia. Serving children, teens, and adults, our counselors are equipped with diverse skill sets to help you on your journey. For more information, visit us at centralvirginiacounseling.com.
When you walk into Haley's, you see the size and selection of a big box store. Over 19,000 square feet of appliances and mattresses. Leading appliances like KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Genair, Speed Queen, GE, and Monogram. And mattresses like Sealy, Serta, and Tempur-Pedic. So what's the difference? A family, locally owned business. And a staff committed to servicing you over the entire life of the product. That means before, during, and well after your purchase. Visit Haley's today, just off Ward Road in Lynchburg. Haley's, quality that counts.
Take advantage this spring of the early season savings on a new energy-efficient heat pump from Terrell E. Mosley. Now through April, you can get savings up to $1,000 or 12-month 0% financing on qualifying systems. Electricity prices are on the rise, and a new energy heat pump is one way to take the sting out of those electric bills. All it takes is one call to the comfort people at Terrell E. Mosley to take advantage of early season savings on a new high-efficiency heat pump. Visit TerrellEMosley.com.
Spring is a season of fresh starts, and it's the perfect time to refresh your finances too. Whether you're opening a new checking account, planning a home project, or exploring lending options, Farmers Bank offers personalized service and local expertise you can count on. We're here to help you grow, save, and plan for what's next, this season and beyond. Stop by your nearest branch or visit us online to learn more. Farmers Bank, your community, your bank, your future.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary's has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60-plus varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected with the show at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
7:41 on this Wednesday, April 29th. I want to add some context, by the way, to the expanded NCAA tournament as Bryson Gordon now joins us. Bryson, good morning. So here's what it would be. So the automatic qualifier play-ins. So these would be you typically get two 16 versus 16 matchups. It'd be 16 Lehigh versus 16 Prairie View A&M, 16 Howard versus 16 UNBC. Those were the first four games on the 16 side. Then you would have all 16 teams play each other. So Queens versus LIU, Furman versus Siena. Then you have Kennesaw State versus Wright State, and then you would have Idaho versus Tennessee State. So all 4 16 seeds, and then 2 of the 15 seeds play each other or get determined. Then at large play-ins, this is where it gets fun. So you still get your first 4 that you had: SMU, Miami of Ohio, America's team, Texas versus NC State. But then you get, in the exciting fashion, Auburn versus San Diego State, Indiana versus Oklahoma, Oklahoma State versus Virginia Tech, Arizona State versus Cal, a team that fired its coach. Wait a minute. I think Cal fired its coach too. Did it? No, Mark Matson's still there. What am I saying? But yeah, Arizona State fired their basketball coach. Anyways, we're joined by Bryson Gordon, newsadvance.com. This is announced. Before I ask you the effects on Liberty, I do want to ask, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's funny because, like as you mentioned, you read out some of the teams, and it's going to benefit some, mid majors, some like those middle of the road teams. But I think most of the reaction I saw yesterday was like, "Oh my gosh, like we don't want to see that 500 Auburn team in the NCAA tournament." Like I think in my whole life, they've expanded the field of 68 now, but in my whole life, the number 64 at least is kind of synonymous with the NCAA tournament for me. Like it's going to take a while just for the numbers to change. I mean, it's right. It's a clear money grab. Let's kind of call it what it is. Like they're trying to squeeze as much money out of the NCAA tournament as they can. Um, in a world where like there's so much money for everybody, when you think about especially TV money, how much money they can make off of an extra weekend of gates, for the quote unquote first 4, whatever they're going to call it now. I think for the most part. They're going to get in a few more mid-major teams. I think it's going to probably benefit a team like Liberty. Maybe there might be some years where Conference USA gets 2 bids. You think back to a couple years ago when Conference USA was really good, right, with Liberty and Louisiana Tech. And Sam Houston State, there were a handful of teams. Kennesaw State a couple years ago when everybody was really good. That might have been a year where there could have been, two Conference USA teams sneak in. And so I think looking back, it's going to benefit a lot of those kind of mediocre power conference teams, right? But I think there are going to be some downstream effects that help out kind of the mid majors, and maybe 5 years from now we'll all be accustomed to it, and we'll be like, why didn't we do this, 10 years ago? We'll see.
What effect does this have on Liberty? It feels like more likely than not when they win Conference USA, they're going to be now a lower seed with a harder matchup. Whether it's one of the 15, like they easily could have been even with their winning record this year, and I would have to look at the full thing. They could have been a 15 seed.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what ultimately do you think? Like this seems to me like while some people would think, oh, Liberty might have a season like they had this year, where maybe they get one good non-conference win, but they also win 17 in a row and win their regular season conference, they could sneak in to the at-large pool. It doesn't seem like that's the case. Like, look what Miami, Ohio did, and they had a worse strength of record or strength of schedule than Liberty, and they had to go. I mean, they literally lost 2 games all season, and in which they were barely in the tournament when it was 68, let alone 76. It does feel like the biggest effect on this is if people want to see Liberty make this kind of magical run, which I think Richie McKay is good enough coach to do, it's going to get way harder because they're probably now playing, instead of like a 4 seed or a 5 seed, they're going to be playing a 2 or 3.
Yeah, you're gonna have to face tougher opponents early on, as you mentioned, and like I said, I think it's just mostly going to be benefiting a lot of these mediocre power conference teams. And for Liberty, as you mentioned, going through a 15 to Kevin to go through a 15 seed route through a 13 seed route, that's kind of the difference between life and death for a lot of these teams. And you think how many 15 seeds you see? We see a lot more of it now with these upsets, but think about how many 15 seeds you see winning versus 13 seeds or even 12 seeds. Like that's kind of the most common upset we see nowadays. And so, I mean, I think you're right about that. It's probably not going to benefit Liberty as much from that perspective in the long run. But I think at least the anticipation is that this is going to kind of come down and back to help out the mid majors, and maybe we'll see. Like I said, I don't buy it. I'm not in that camp.
Here with Bryson Gordon, newsadvance.com. Speaking of big, I guess I don't know how to phrase this the right way, but like conference changes, conference expansion. Part of the reason why we're having this is Louisiana Tech will unfortunately not play 10 games this season. They have come to a deal with Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech heading to the Sun Belt. Ultimately, this means Liberty's football schedule is changing once again. But what are your thoughts on this finally just getting settled?
Yeah, I'm well. Number one is the guy who covers a Conference USA football team. I'm excited. I need a football schedule, right? We haven't had a football schedule. I think we're due to get one sometime here in the next days, and here pretty soon. So I look. I think getting this conference schedule set is going to be important, and then for Conference USA at large, right? I think that there's probably just finally some settlement on what their future is going to look like. There was some, I think most people kind of anticipated that Louisiana Tech was going to be leaving Conference USA with through this year. I think there was an expectation there was going to be some kind of settlement. And so now, with UTEP on the way out and Louisiana Tech on the way out, I think Delaware and Missouri State have kind of had better first years than even I could have thought. Think back to how good both of them were in football season. Obviously, Missouri State had a good run in the Conference USA men's and women's tournaments, especially, knocking off Liberty the way that they did. And so these new teams have kind of given Conference USA a little bit of stability. I think, we'll see kind of what happens in the long term. I think Missouri State is a program I kind of like from a football perspective, what they did at the FCS level, and then kind of how they've come up and built their program, at the FBS level. I know they're going to have to go through a coaching change, but for them, I think Conference USA has to be glad that they have some kind of solve direction going ahead for the future. Now, for that, they're looking at teams like Liberty, they're looking at teams like Western Kentucky to kind of be those anchor programs now. Because I think whether or not Louisiana Tech kind of lived up to the hype that they got, I think they were looked at as probably one of the anchor programs, kind of being in the league for a little bit now, and kind of having some, I would say, fairly established athletic programs. And so, especially when you think about baseball too, they were really good for Conference USA from that perspective. So I'm sure that the Conference USA is going to lean on Liberty and Western and Middle Tennessee, a lot of these teams kind of to be a little bit better and boost the profile of the conference. And I think Missouri State and Delaware are a couple teams that can kind of help out with that for the future too.
Looking at Liberty basketball now, it appears the roster is pretty much finalized at this point. They added with the recent addition of Charleston's Matthew Shelton, a D2 transfer. Ultimately, what are your thoughts on the additions that Liberty has made to this roster in finalizing it for this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's a different looking roster. I mean, they're bigger. Like, I think if you kind of average things out, I think they're like right around, 6'7", 6'8", like kind of right around there as their average, as their average height, ironically. And the one thing that they're lacking, right? If you look at the roster, I think they're still pretty much lacking a true center, a guy that could step in. You think back to the Conference USA tournament again, what Michael Osibansu was doing to them. I think if you find Liberty in a situation like that this year, maybe they don't quite have that guy to do that defensive work again. But I think they're more athletic. I think they're obviously bigger in the backcourt. You swap out the Campbell brothers for Caden Matheny and Colin Porter. Liberty's are already bigger than they were last year, just kind of from a lineup perspective. I think there's probably some more flexibility kind of in the middle of their in the middle of their starting five. You turn on the tape with Matthew Shelton, their newest addition, this Division II Charleston transfer. He's an athletic, character. I mean, I think what kind of jumps out of the page, what kind of jumps off the page, is what Richie McKay might be able to do with his athleticism. And so we'll see what they can get out of him as a shooter. I think that this roster is going to be have the chance to be one of the best shooting teams in Conference USA. We'll kind of see what they do with rebounding, but I think it's going to kind of look like a Richie McKay team that we've seen in the last couple seasons. I think just a little bit bigger on the wing perspective. You're not going to be looking at quite 5'11" guards. You're going to be seeing more like 6'3" guards, and that's it may not seem like a big difference, but if those guys can help in your rebounding effort, it's going to be a big deal. And I think that's kind of what they're looking at, is getting a better rebounding effort from the entire starting five, and you can kind of make up in the aggregate for not having that necessarily huge rebounding physical presence at your five.
You look at cross conference USA. Do you think Liberty maybe had one of the better transition windows, considering obviously they lost Brett Decker to Baylor, but one of the better players, the guy who basically helped win the game for Missouri State, is now going to play football in Michael Osai Bosonu. I botched that, but ultimately, it feels like Liberty is repositioning themselves towards the top of Conference USA.
I agree. I agree with that. I think Kennesaw State has done a really good job in their transfer class. And then, you kind of have to just see how things unfold. I mean, I still think it's number one, a little bit early in the portal period. Liberty did their work fairly quickly because they landed a lot of D2 transfers. Think about four of their six transfers are non-Division One, and so they moved relatively quickly in that front. I think there might be time for some other teams to maybe make some more additions. But I mean, in general, I think Liberty has done a good enough job to maintain their spot, along the top four, top five spots in the conference. Think about like what they have to replace, right? They have to replace so much in their backcourt. You go back to Colin Porter, Caden Matheny, and not just their shooting, not just their points per game and their play on the game, but like leadership, that all that kind of stuff is important for them. Think about all the voices that they had in the room, even Zach Cleveland last year. And so that's one of the things that I have to, I'm questioning about this team. Where's that internal leadership going to come from? You have guys like Xander Carter, who's coming back for his second season. He's going to be an important piece in the backcourt. Is he going to be that guy that takes a step forward and becomes a leader in that room? And then in general, just for Liberty, like I said, I'm still kind of looking to see what happens in the front court. That's probably where I think other Conference USA teams have done a great job of adding transfers or adding, younger guys. Like I think of even down to FIU, they had some really quality young, five and big men that were coming off the bench for them this past season. And so looking at how other teams and maybe it's not necessarily a highly touted transfer class for a team like Western Kentucky or for a team like Middle Tennessee. But maybe they have some pieces who are kind of underrated, like Liberty gets all the time. And so I think it's going to be. I would assume that Liberty remains in the top. I would say five, or six spots in the conference next year. I think it's just going to take some time to see how they mesh because it's going to be a completely new roster, and he's even going to be mixing in some freshmen who are going to. I would expect Eli Sankum, a four-star high school guy. I would expect him to play relatively quickly for McKay. And so, it's going to be a new look team, and I think it's going to have to come together quickly. But I think they have the right pieces.
You wrote a lot of articles for newsadvance.com about the position groups for Liberty football now that spring practice is behind us, and we're basically a week ago is when it wrapped up. Ultimately put, looking at this defense, and this is the one we talked a lot about the quarterbacks and a lot about the offensive side of the ball, but the defense is maybe the group that you had higher expectations of last season and underperformed the most. New DC this year. It also has the most changes, theoretically. It has a new voice in there, Sean Quinn, unlike the offense, which, I know has a new play caller, but the play caller is the guy who crafted the offense in Jamie Chadwell. What are your thoughts on this defense and where it's probably improved the most since last season?
Yeah, I think one of the positions I'm kind of excited to watch for Liberty this year is linebacker, just kind of because think back to last year, right? You kind of knew who most of the room was gonna be. You knew Joseph Carter was going to be the main guy in that room, and now he's graduated. He suffered an unfortunate injury at the very end of the season last year and missed. I think he missed a game and a half, and so it gave Liberty an opportunity to get an audition for some other guys. And I think you look at that room; it potentially could be the strength of the entire team, at least on the defensive side of the ball. When you think about Darrell Farrar, Micah Pollard, Deuce Spurlock, and then younger guys who I think might have an opportunity to make a leap, like Delano Glaude. He was making a big push at the end of last season for some snaps, and I think he ended up leading the team in his Pro Football Focus rating, and so he's somebody who at the linebacker position is going to take a big step forward. I think in general if that linebacking core can be a little bit better, I think that's going to elevate the entire defense. It wasn't a position, despite the veterans and how much Farrar played last year. It wasn't really a position that kind of graded out well from a PFF standpoint. And of course, Liberty didn't have one of the I would say five or six best defenses in Conference USA, and so they were kind of in the middle of the pack. And so I think if they can get better play at the heart of their defense, it's going to be important. And I think that's possible, just kind of with how Quinn has come in and kind of changed his defensive scheme. Obviously, he's made a little bit of a positional change with going from jokers to jack linebackers now. it's really not too much of a schematic change, more of a name change. But it's gonna, add guys like Brenton Williams playing a little bit more outside linebacker and pass rushing at the same time. And so at linebacker specifically, I like how Quinn has kind of emphasized that that's going to be the room where the voice is going to be the loudest, right? They have, I think Darrell Farrar is probably going to be that guy who's going to be the main anchor linebacker for their rotation this year. And so with him, he's going to be a leader. And I think in general, that's going to be the position group that I look, because if you look behind the linebacker, you look in the defensive back end, it's going to be pretty much all new guys. You're not going to really recognize any of the guys who play for them next year. It's going to be guys who were freshmen last year, guys who were playing at other schools. That's just because they lost so much. And so I think if linebacker can give them some stability, that's going to really elevate the rest of the defense. And maybe it might even take some pressure off of what they have on the defensive front, because Quinn has talked about how much he's going to really kind of turn up the pressure from the front seven this year.
Moving over to baseball now for the Flames in the Diamond Sports. Baseball, second in Conference USA. They went on a big winning streak during the season, got a nice win over Virginia Tech. Part of that winning streak, they've played some really good baseball this year. They're second, as mentioned, second in the conference. Jacksonville State, who's been a top 25 team most of the season. I know Liberty was ranked at one point. And looking at the latest Baseball America projection, they have Liberty as an at-large team in the tournament as a 3 seed. What have you thought about this baseball team? It appears that Liberty's having a really good year and has a real shot at making at least making the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think they have a great shot at making it. I mean, I think if they can keep this thing on the tracks, they're probably, I would say, pretty much close to a lock if you look at all the analytics. The thing that impressed me most about this team, I think everybody kind of knew they would pitch well. Just knowing Coach Bradley LaCroix's background of being a really good pitching coach and being somebody who has a really good eye for pitching talent, and obviously Ben Blair leading the rotation. But what has impressed me is the offense. I think early in the year there were some questions about where the offense was going to come from. Jordan Jaffe came in; he was a transfer, kind of highly touted, and he's lived up to the billing. But I think the most important part about Liberty's improvement is Tanner Marsh at the leadoff spot and at shortstop. He's had an incredible improvement, kind of overall in this season. I think the summer was big for him, and he's taken steps forward in his consistency. He gets on base all the time. If you go watch Liberty, I mean, he's living on base for them this year. And so having him being able to set the tone on top of the lineup, and then Jaffe, the production that he's having at this point. I think he last week he was the Conference USA Hitter of the Week, and he batted 500, and then from has been their 9-hole hitter a lot of times, and he had a really hot stretch for them a couple weeks ago. And so they're hitting the ball. I'd say that's the most impressive thing with this team, right? Their pitching has been good, but the way that they've hit the ball 1 through 9 is something that has been different, and has put them in a position to, I think, be pretty close to a guarantee, or almost as close to a lock as you can be to making the tournament without things falling off the rails here.
Bryson, thanks so much, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That will do it for us today. Bye, everybody. So much for listening to the morning warm-up on VTRN Sports 93.3 FM W227 BG Timberlake and 1320 AM WBGM Lynchburg.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle.